set a few things straight. It was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who all have scattered them, changed their names, oppressed them, lynched them, robbed them, stolen their identity. Tribe of Judah, the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Simeon, the tribe of Levi, the tribe of Issachar, the tribe of Zebulun, the tribe of Naphtali, the tribe of Asher, the tribe of Ephraim, the tribe of Manasseh, the tribe of Benjamin. This who I was sent to earth to save, the 12 tribes of Israel only.
Blessed Lord, brothers and sisters, this is not a Shabbat lesson, this is an impromptu video, and this impromptu video information and research is coming from the pbs.org. pbs.org, brothers and sisters. I'm going to title this video, Marcus Garvey established the UNIA in Harlem in 1916. Marcus Garvey established the UNIA in Harlem, New York, United States in the 1914s. Many of our brothers and sisters here in the West do not have any idea of the contribution Marcus Garvey had contributed to the improvement of the Negroes in Jamaica and the Americas. Many of our people are ignorant of these information because they solely anchored in the brainwash education given to them by their leaders. Marcus Garvey, yes indeed, clashed with many of the civil rights leaders of the Black American community. Right? Because many of them did not want to separate from the oppressor, but Marcus Garvey did. He wanted to separate from the oppressors. That's why he met with the Ku Klux Klan leader to try to come to some agreement to be separated from them. And many people saw that as a betrayal, but they did not see the deeper vision, right? The clear vision that Marcus Garvey wanted in those early days, just right after slavery, physical slavery had ended. You know, that's around the time of the Jim Crow era, and they started writing policy, and the Ku Klux Klan was acting a fool. Some of our people was to defend themselves against him, some was consumed by them. But Marcus Garvey came to pave the way for separation. But many of our civil rights leaders did not want separation. They wanted to be included. One of them was not Malcolm X, but Martin Luther King, his inclusion. And later on in his life, he himself in his speech said he regret that he led his people into a burning house. He regret of trying to push this integration. But had he had listened to Marcus Garvey, we wouldn't be in this situation. So again, this information is from pbs.org. And Marcus Garvey established the UNIA in 1914. And what is the meaning of the abbreviation UNIA? It is the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Again, it is a Universal Negro Improvement Association. As Marcus Garvey returned to Jamaica in 1914, after 4 years in Central America and Europe, he came upon the autobiography of Booker T. Washington, the conservative dean of American black leaders. It was while reading up from slavery, Garvey said that he developed his vision for the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Where is the black man's government? Garvey asked himself. Where is his king and his kingdom? Where is his president, his ambassador, his country, his men of big affairs? I could not find them, he said, and then I declared I will help to make them. So on July 20, 1940, Marcus Garvey, at the age of 28, 28 founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association. His co-founder was Amy Ashwood, who would later become his first wife. The UNIA was originally conceived as a benevolent or fraternal reform association dedicated to racial uplift and the establishment of educational and industrial opportunities for blacks, taking Booker T. Washington Tuskegee Institute as a model. The UNIA floundered in Jamaica, but shortly after Garvey's relocation to Harlem in 1960, New York became the headquarters of the movement. The Harlem branch started with 17 members meeting in a dingy basement, but by the spring of 1918, Garvey's strong advocacy of black economic and political independence had taken hold, and UNIA branches and divisions were springing up in cities and towns across the country and then in different parts of the world. In 1920, Garvey claimed nearly 1,000 local divisions in the United States, the Caribbean, the Central America, Canada, and Africa. Garvey's followers were large ordinary people described by the Baltimore Observer as cooks, potters, hod carriers, and washwomen, and said Garvey should have on the official seal of the empire a wash tub and frying pan and bale hook and mop. So this movement was for poor people, enslaved descendants of Hebrew slaves. Large branch meetings were like religious revivals, with entire families gathering for a day of debates, fashion shows, classical music, plays, and vaudeville acts. Garvey gave his followers who were disposed in the broader society a sense of belonging. Men could join the African Legion for young people, the UNIA Juvenile Division, and in the Black Cross Nurses and the Universal Motor Corps. Heavily influenced the American culture, but yet none of my people, so-called Black America, will admit this and research it and declare it, but instead take the position of victimhood. The Garvey movement offers The Garvey movement offered black women a place of their own. He created the red, black, and green flag to symbolize black unity. And many of my brothers and sisters who are descendants of Hebrew slaves fly that flag every Black History Month and Juneteenth, not knowing where that flag came from or who originated. Yes, they'll talk ill against their own brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. We are heavily influenced by Marcus Garvey. Jamaican people is influential in the American culture, and that's a fact. Let's go over this again. Brothers and sisters, Garvey gave his followers who were disposed in the broader society a sense of belonging. Men could join the African Legion for young people in UNIA Juvenile Division and in the Black Cross. In the Black Cross Nurses and the Universal Motor Corps. The Garvey movement offered black women a place of their own. He created the red, black, and green flag to symbolize black unity, and there were official UNIA slogans, prayers, poetry, and songs. Garvey was known to rule the UNIA with the iron hand. He did not tolerate disagreement on even insignificant matters and demand complete loyalty from UNIA members. His autocratic style would over the years cause considerable dissension within the ranks and turnover and defection among the UNIA's top leadership. In addition to the internal problems of the Garvey movement, Garvey and the UNIA became targets of the Bureau of Investigation, the persecutor, the precursor to the FBI in a campaign directed by the then up-and-coming J. Edgar Hoover. For 5 years, beginning in 1990, largely under Hoover's direction, Bureau Investigation officers would report on UNIA activities in over 24 cities. Hoover would also coordinate the action of at least 7 federal government agencies investigating Garvey in what some experts have called a personal vendetta. Membership in the UNIA declined after Garvey's incarceration from federal mail fraud between 1925 and 1927 and his deportation in 1927 increased the factionalization within the movement. A new NIA and African Community League of the World, over which Garvey presided, was incorporated at the 1929 UNIA convention in Kingston. It was distinguished from the rival UNIA Inc. in New York, headed by Fred A. Tutti in 1929 and by Lionel Francis in 1931, part of the American-based movement. Remain loyal to Garvey, notably the Garvey Club and the Tiger Division of the New York in 1935. All they had to do was do some research truly to find out the truth instead of following the blind, leading the blind. After being deported from America and spending a few years in Jamaica, Garvey moved his headquarters to London. After his death in 1940, the Garveyite loyalists elected a new slate of officers in New York, and the headquarters of the parent body was moved to Cleveland under the direction of a new president, General James Stewart, who eventually relocated to Monrovia, Liberia. The Black Star Line. They said that the Negro had no initiative, that he was not a businessman but a laborer, that he had not the brain to engineer a corporation to own and run ships, that he had no knowledge of navigation. Therefore, the proposition was impossible. O ye of little faith, the eternal has happened. Marcus Garvey on the launching of the Black Star Line. The Black Star Line was the steamship company operated by Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association from 1919 to 1922. The Black Star Line was to be the UNIA's vehicle for promoting worldwide commerce among black communities. In Garvey's vision, Black Star Line ship could transport manufactured goods, raw materials, and produce among black businesses in North America, the Caribbean, Africa, and become linchpin in a global black community. So Marcus Garvey was a visionary. He wasn't for just Jamaica. It was for all of our people who are descendants of slaves, Hebrew slaves. But you will never know that, because my people here in Black America don't speak of Marcus Garvey and the contribution he had an influence in the black culture here. So let's move on. The Black Star Line was incorporated in Delaware on June 23, 1919. and was capitalized at a maximum of $500,000. Shares were valued at $5 each, and individuals could purchase a maximum of 200 shares. Black Star Line stocks was sold at UNIA meetings and conventions, by the traveling agents, by the mail circulars, and through advertisement in the Negro World newspaper. To the surprise of his critics, just 3 months after the incorporation of the Black Star Line, Garvey announced the purchase of his first ship, the SS Yarmouth, which Garvey intended to rename the Frederick Douglass, would set sail with an all-black crew under the command of Black Captain Joshua Cockburn. Research him, if you dare. From the beginning of the Black Star Line, Garvey faced chaos and betrayal. The Yarmouth had been used as a coal boat in World War I and was in very poor condition at the time of its sale. The ship was reportedly worth no more than $25,000, yet UNIA paid $165,000 for it. Joshua Cockburn, Garvey's handpicked captain, would later be accused of taking a kickback from the purchase price. Our own people, always our own, sabotage ourselves. But nobody want to talk about that. In 1920, Garvey spent another $200,000 raised from among his followers on additional ships not worth the price. The SS Shady Side and Hudson River excursion boat carried black passengers on a cruise to nowhere on the Hudson one summer, and in the fall sprang a leak and sank. The steam yacht Kanawha, renamed the SS Antonio Maceo, was grandly displayed on a Harlem pier for all Garvey's admirers to see, but on its maiden voyage the Kanawha blew a boiler, killing a man. The Black Star Line fell victim to overcharging by engineers, thievery by representatives and officers, and sabotage by Bureau investigation. So this is all America who sabotaged the movement of Pan-Africanism and pride of self of who we are as Hebrews of the Royal House of Israel. So under direction of the J. Edgar Hoover, but it was also plagued by mismanagement. The Yarmouth first commission was to transport a cargo of whiskey out of the U.S. and into Cuba before the start of Prohibition. The ship made the trip in record time but arrived in Cuba without docking arrangement and quickly became entangled in longshore strike. The Yarmouth sat stranded on the docks of Havana, waiting and losing money for weeks on end. On another Black Star Line voyage, a cargo load of coconuts rotten at sea because Garvey insisted the ship make ceremonial visit to politically important ports. As a business venture, the Black Star Line quickly became a disaster. Garvey supporters invested what was in many cases their life-saving. Estimates of the company's losses are as high as $1.25 million. Yet the Black Star Line was a powerful symbol to dispossessed people. Thousands of Garveys crowded the docks at 135th Street in Harlem. In Harlem to witness the launching of the Yarmouth. One spectator described the launch. "We stood on a pile of logs and watched hundreds of people jump up and down, throw up their hats and handkerchief and cheer while the Yarmouth backed from the wharf and slowly glided down the North River." In Cuba and Central America, thousands of black supporters on horses, donkeys, and makeshift cars descended on the docks to witness the arrival of the first ship they'd ever seen owned and operated by black men. Though it was ultimately a business fiasco, the Black Star Line was an important symbol of black potential and a powerful propaganda and recruitment tool for Garvey and the UNIA. It stands as a major achievement facing financial ruin. Garvey announced the suspension of the company shortly after his February 1922 indictment on mail fraud charges stemming from the sale of the Black Star Liner. The Negro Factories Corporation, Negro producers, Negro distributors, Negro consumers. The world of Negroes can be self-contained. We desire earnestly to deal with the rest of the world, but if the rest of the world desire not, we seek not. Marcus Garvey, 1929, and quote. The Negro Factories Corporation was the finance arm of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, a cornerstone of Garvey's vision for black economic independence. The Negro Factories Corporation was created with the goal of supporting businesses that would employ African Americans, and produce goods to be sold to black consumers. Garvey envisioned a string of black-owned factories, retailers, service, and other businesses, and hoped that the corporation would eventually be strong enough to power and sustain all black economic with worldwide significance. The Negro Factories Corporation was incorporated in the state of Delaware on January 30, 1920 by Garvey. So this man was a visionary. Yet none of my people here in the Americas black community would research properly and find out the influence we had here in America. Yet they will come and tell you all type of foolishness to discredit the contribution Jamaicans have here in the Americas. William Ferris and John G. Bainey, Amy, Jacques Garvey was secretary of the corporation, and Cyril Henry was its treasurer. In May 1920, just months after its founding, Garvey reported that the corporation had taken over the management of a Harlem steel laundry and would soon open a millinery and hat factory by June 1920. So all this was happening in early 1900s, when many of our people were still in chains, still on plantation. Marcus Garvey had this vision of liberated our people here, our brothers and sisters in America. So by June 1920, the Negro Factories Corporation had opened the Universal Steam Laundry with a universal tailoring and dressmaking department at 62 West 142nd Street in Harlem. At this location, the UNIA uniforms and insignias were manufactured, and fashionable clothing was designed for UNIA fashion shows at Liberty Hall, UNIA's international headquarters. The Negro Factories Corporation also supported 3 grocery stores in Harlem, one on 135th Street and 2 on Lexington Avenue. 2 restaurants, one on 135th Street and the other at Liberty Hall, and a printing press. Local and UNIA branches were urged by Garvey to own their own buildings, and they sometimes launched businesses as well. For example, the Colon, Panama branch of the UNIA ran a cooperative bakery, while the Kingston, Jamaica branch ran a laundry and a cooperative bank, the shares of which were available to UNIA members only. Garvey's vision for economic self-reliance extended beyond the Negro Factory Corporation. UNIA branches often acted as mutual aid society, providing debt benefits, small loans, and employment assistance to members. The Negro Factory Corporation never achieved the scope of influence Garvey envisioned, but UNIA businesses provide an important beacon of hope for African Americans. For African Americans, our brothers and sisters here who are descendants of Hebrews and Hebrew slaves. We must unite and stop this diaspora war, but it does not benefit none of us here. UNI businesses provide an important beacon of hope for African Americans who were shut out of large segments of the job market and economy at their height. UNIA businesses employed hundreds of people in Harlem. Ultimately, the Negro Factories Corporation fell victim of organizational mismanagement as well as unrealistic hopes. It became insolvent in 1921. The Negro World at weekly newspaper with worldwide circulation was created by again Marcus Garvey. As the official organ of the UNIA and African Communities League, the paper was produced in New York beginning in August of 1918. The Negro World preached Garvey's philosophy of black consciousness, self-help, and economic independence. Each issue featured a front page editorial penned by Garvey himself, news items covering current events, politics, and the status of black people in the United States, and abroad, and reports on UNIA enterprises such as the Black Star Line. The activities of the UNIA branches and division from Omaha, Nebraska to Cuba to South Africa were reported, and the paper refused all advertisement for skin lighters and hair straighters, which were a mainstay of the advertising page of most African American newspapers. So you see, it's all about self-identification and preservation. I'm going to go over this again. The activities of the UNIA branches and division of Omaha, Nebraska to Cuba to South Africa were reported, and the paper refused all advertisement for skin lighteners and hair straighteners, which were a mainstay of the advertising page of most African American newspapers. So you see, Garvey was rejecting the skin lighteners that my people here, the so-called black people in America, was entertaining in those times. Marcus Garvey rejected that. But at the same time, other circulation push this advertisement on our people, the self-hate of our people. And that same self-hate is rooted in Jamaica right now, with the bleaching, all that foolishness, the straightening up the hair, the fake wig, the fake hairs, eagle claws, nose ring, all that foolishness, tattoos all over their faces and skin. The Negro world enjoyed a broad and influential distribution, reaching not only the entire United States, but the Caribbean, Central America, Canada, Europe, and Africa. At its peak, the publication had a circulation of 200,000 and was the most popular black newspaper in the United States. Fearing the influence of Garvey's call for independence, European colonial powers banned the Negro world in many parts of Africa and the Caribbean. However, it continued to be distributed clandestinely by black seamen, students, and others. Over the years, Garvey made the paper more accessible to his constituency, and Spanish League section of the Negro world was begun in 1923, a French League language section in 1924. Amy Jacques Garvey added a page called Our Women and What They Think during her tenure as associate editor from 1924 to 1927. Marcus Garvey was involved in virtually every aspect of the paper. He was managing editor from the inception of the Negro world on his birthday, August 17, 1918, until he split from New York division leadership in the early 1930s. He disavowed responsibility for the editorials that appeared under his name in 1932, and from July 31, 1932 to April 15, 1933, no issues of the Negro world were published. The paper was briefly revived under the management of M.L.T. de Mina. From April through October 1930, no issues of the paper published after October 17, 1933 have been found. Eminent black writers and editors who contributed to the Negro world during its heyday included Zora Neale Hurston, W.A. Domingo, Herbert Harrison, T. Thomas Fortune, Arthur Schomburg, John E. Bruce, William H. Ferris, Norton G. Thomas, and Eric Walron. Research those people for yourself. Women in the Garvey movement. Although the UNIA did not have an explicit program against sexism, it did through groups such as the Black Cross Nurses, Universal Motor Corps, After Women a Place of Their Own, Offer a Woman a Place of Their Own. Within the organization, women were subordinate to men within the UNIA, as in many other membership organizations, but these women auxiliaries and the UNIA's juvenile division helped to complement male-identified UNIA divisions like the African Legion, and offered women a chance to develop leadership and organizational skill and a place to express their commitment to the ideas of the UNIA. The Black Cross Nurses Auxiliary was modeled on the Red Cross. Like other auxiliary division of the UNIA, the Black Cross Nurses were organized on the local level. The first unit was established by members of the Philadelphia UNIA. Henrietta Benton Davis, one of the key national leaders of the UNIA, recruitment women to local Black Cross Nurses groups in the early 1920s. And local units were formed in the cities in the United States, Central America, and the Caribbean. The Black Cross Nurses formed their own contingent in the UNIA Paradises, making a striking appearance in long called white robes or green nursing uniforms. Although some members had formal medical training, most worked with practical training in first aid and nutrition. The auxiliary performed benevolent community work and provided public health service to black neighborhoods, specializing in infant health and home care. In some localities, they work in conjunction with established social service agency. The Universal African Motor Corps was a female auxiliary whose unit were affiliated with local divisions and associated with the paramilitary African Legion, the membership of which was exclusively male, while the head of the Motor Corps, who was given the title Brigadier General, was a woman. The officer and commanders of the units were men. Members of the corps were trained in military discipline and automobile driving and repair. The juvenile division, the youth corps of the Garvey movement, were affiliated with local UNIA divisions and divided into classes according to the age. The infant class age 1 through 7 studied the Bible. Know who you are. Study the Bible and doctrine of the UNIA and the history of Africa. After the age of 7, the children were segregated by sex. Girls were taught sewing, boys woodcraft, and both received further instruction in black history and etiquette. After the age of 13, boys received military training to prepare them for membership in the African Legion, while girls learned hygiene and domestic science in order to prepare them to be Black Cross nurses. The superintendent of each local division was a lady vice president of the division at large, and teachers were chosen from the adult auxiliaries. The juvenile division took part in UNIA Paradise. The boys marching in blue uniforms and girls in green dresses. So you see, brothers and sisters, the influence we had as black people, so-called Jamaicans, in America, in the land of our captivity. Stop the fighting. Stop the fighting. It does not help us in any way moving forward, Hebrews in America. Stop listening to these people and their podcasts, their Boule podcasts and their Pink Book Lesson podcasts and this foolishness that they like to interview people with emotional triggers and anger, not knowing who we are as a people in the Caribbean. Take time to study and know. Because we all have same shared history. We all slaves, descendants of Hebrew slaves. And we all both were colonized by other nations in the Caribbean as well as here in America. And with the Mosiah scattered us. Stop sowing seed of discourse among the virgin. That's the work of Hashatan. The Mosiah Yahusha is coming back to make the house of Israel as one stick in his hand. Don't get caught outside of that, of his mercy and grace. Come back to his laws, commandments, and set and save the wretched soul, brothers and sisters. Alright? Blessed love and shalom.